Hello everyone and welcome to another ASUG affiliate webcast. My name is Susan Rebolletto, Membership Support Specialist here at ASUG headquarters in Chicago. I will be your moderator for this event. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to join us for this presentation. Today's webcast, Enhance On-Time Delivery with Real-Time Exception Management powered by SAP HANA, is brought to you by OpsVeda. Today's webcast is being recorded. That recording and the accompanying slides will be posted to the ASUG website, and all registrants will receive an email with the link to those materials. Our speakers today are Vikas Rajput, Vice President of Customer Success at OpsVeda, and Sanjeev Gupta, Founder and CEO of OpsVeda. I'd like to remind our audience members that you can submit questions at any time during the presentation by clicking the purple Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And now I'd like to turn it over to Vikas.
Thank you, Susan. Hello and welcome everyone. Once again, my name is Vikas Rajput. I'm the VP of Customer Success at OpsVeda. I am responsible for helping OpsVeda customers be successful in running your business, monitoring your business, and improving your business through real-time visibility into your business operations. As a short background, I have spent a couple of decades in the industry focused primarily in and around SAP. Like many of you on this webcast, I have been an enterprise customer, been part of various large and small transformational systems, implementations, and the business improvement initiatives in a variety of industries. Today's topic is focused on enhancing on-time delivery. We shall talk about how the paradigm of managed by exception, or we also call it exceptions first, can help your team focus on the most critical issues. How one-stop storyboards with focus on actionable intelligence can help address sales orders, supply, and logistics fulfillment visibility and overcome some of these issues. How enterprises like yours can transition from the reactive day-to-day struggles to a mature, proactive, and more efficient business. Many of our customers are already realizing these benefits with this approach. Enterprises such as Genentech in the life science industry, Juniper Networks or SanDisk in the high-tech industry, global brands in apparel and fashion, Grace Kennedy like in food and beverage, they are already benefiting from this approach. Let me share with you an interesting conversation that I had with a prospective customer in the CPG and fashion industry in New York City about 10 days back when I was there. He said, and I quote, data is good, information is better, and actionable information is not only needed, but where I truly want to be. He went on to confess, it's easy to say, sounds fundamental, yet enterprises are struggling to achieve it. Now, I was reflecting on this later, and I thought to myself, so true, I wish I had bumped into this OpsVeda solution before I started my previous 7-year SAP rollout initiative. We could have saved a ton of money and would have achieved much better outcome. OpsVeda is the operational intelligence and supply chain visibility solution. In this solution, in this platform, we stream continuous, relevant, and prescriptive insight to frontline business teams and executives. We enable real-time actionable visibility into exceptions across your operations, from order fulfillment to supply management, in manufacturing, shipment logistics, channel management. And the solution is actually powered by our patented process-agnostic data store technology. It utilizes or leverages an in-memory SAP HANA database. We bring big data predictive analytics and deep business process expertise together to help you achieve specific goals and outcomes out of the box. OpsVeda, as I'm going to talk about a little bit more, in the next few slides and potentially in some of the demo, OpsVeda as a platform offers you a complete solution stack. It provides the real-time data streaming where, data from your back-end systems like ERP, from your external partners, from your carriers, legacy systems, maybe point-of-sale systems, the data is being streamed in. The solution helps you do some data discovery. There are rules management, so you can define your own business rules, your exceptions. There is a cool end-user visualization. There are capabilities such as collaboration and alerting, some of which I'm going to be demonstrating during the demo. The solution is deployed software as a service on cloud. It can also be installed on-premise if that is your preference. And it can be accessed through desktop or mobile. It's pretty much an all-in-one platform which can be deployed in 30 days. Our customers span in the consumer goods, food and beverage, fashion, high-tech, retail, life sciences, and manufacturing industrial industries. We are also recognized by Gartner in the operational intelligence and supply chain visibility categories. In fact, in 2015, last year, Gartner selected us amongst the top 5 supply chain cool vendors. SAP selected us for the SAP HANA Award as in recognition for one of our implementations for one of our customers. There are about 10 capabilities that I'm going to be talking about a little bit in detail today. If you are a customer service rep or a sales operations rep, let's say you are responsible for serving customers and enhancing enterprise value. Without a solution like OpsVeda, you are likely going through various hoops, often firefighting to get the products allocated and shipped to the customer. On top of that, there are challenges that get thrown at you. For example, customer is requesting a change. There are frequent changes coming from the customer in terms of schedule, in terms of quantities, in terms of the product mix. Customers, stakeholders, you're including your management team or even the stock market that is expecting organizations to have shorter cycle times. There are certain service level agreements in place with your partners or internally. There are penalties if some of these SLAs are not met. And if you want to avoid some of those penalties, there is perhaps an expedite cost that you end up incurring, which in turn hits your margins. Obviously, you are doing your best attempting to retain the revenue that otherwise it has risk of being lost. Now, on top of that, apart from this, you are challenged to pull together various reports that are being generated from various data sources by various people. Then you are navigating through and filtering through many of these multiple reports and spreadsheets to figure out what are the critical action items that need your immediate attention and what you will do next. Now, if you're also in the high-tech electronics, CPG or fashion or food and beverage industry, you should certainly consider this solution and begin to transform your business operations or transform your supply chain execution using OpsVeda. As I move on to the live demo today, I hope to share with you some of the real-life situations and challenges that are addressed by this approach. We are going to talk about some of the order fulfillment exceptions, the shippable positive and negative ATS, on-shelf availability if you are interested in the retail sales side of it. And with OpsVeda, our customers have observed benefits up to 10 to 20% of revenue and margin leakage that can be recaptured or can be avoided. Our customers have also observed user productivity improvements up to maybe 30 to 40% of their productivity, so that instead of spending all the time on some of the pain points that I just mentioned, they get to the exceptions first. So OpsVeda brings the ability to run your business in real time by ingesting streams of live data from various sources across your supply chain into one central information hub. The solution offers a one-stop storyboard or a workbench for your frontline operations team and management executives. What you see here is, if you're responsible for retail sales, you're going to see your role-specific storyboards. If you're responsible for fulfillment and or sourcing, you're going to be seeing relevant storyboards for yourself. I'm going to deep dive a little bit more into these areas today. If time permits, I would also like to share with you things in the manufacturing side, maybe maintenance side. But given the theme of today's session, I'm going to be more focused on on-time delivery and how you can enhance it using OpsVeda. The solution is hosted on cloud. It leverages SAP HANA as an underlying in-memory database and is capable of ingesting data from various source systems. So these data sources could be your SAP system, your non-SAP systems, maybe third-party solutions, maybe warehouse management systems such as Red Prairie or Manhattan, PKMS, often areas such as maintenance or retail point of sale or siloed systems. Maybe your MES system is different from your other enterprise system, and you may have multiple MES systems. Or there are many other legacy. Today, I'm going to be showing you the OpsVeda solution, but we also have some new release, which is called Canvas, in which you can actually pull together information from other sources which are not in your enterprise systems and be able to do some on-the-fly analysis. It could be data such as your market intelligence that you are getting, or from a strategic marketing analysis point of view that you're getting from various sources, data providers. For a business user, as I said, the solution is presented in the role-specific storyboards. For example, in the retail sales, if you are responsible for managing retail sales, you are perhaps interested in tracking how is the demand on a day-to-day basis, or how is the sales trending over a period of time for certain brands or products in certain regions, and how certain retailers or retail stores are performing. In this case, perhaps your retail point of solution is separate from your enterprise fulfillment and logistics system. However, the same solution is acting as an information hub, and through process agnostic data store capability, able to ingest data in real time, process it, and highlight the exceptions or provide you with proactive alerts so they can take actions before it's too late. Let's say that you are interested in looking at how the sales is performing week by week. Where are your situations where you have excess inventory or you have some insufficient inventory? You can deep dive into it from here. You can look at it from a previous week, or the next week in the future, how the situation looks like, and you can plan fulfillment or replenishment to the stores accordingly. If you are, interested in the on-shelf availability, let's say you want to look at the situation there, and you want to look at levels of inventory and how to replenish just the right level of inventory that is on display on the shelf, in the store, or how you can place some of the inventory in the local or central DC so the replenishment can be done frequently on a timely basis. In this particular case, we are looking at the lost sales and out-of-shelf transactions where stock is less than the minimum display quantity. So this is like an out-of-shelf transactions. You have near out-of-shelf transactions where stock is greater than the display quantity, minimum display quantity, but is less than the safety stock. And also on a shelf at risk transaction. You have that visibility now. Here we are looking at the specific retailers, specific stores, what products are at a near out-of-shelf situation, what is the on-hand quantity, what is the shortfall. If we are unable to overcome the situation, what would be the impact in terms of lost sales or current lost sales or the future lost sales, which sales orders are on hand that could actually, and if there are any deliveries scheduled to arrive for that. So let's look at what are the sales orders that are in this demand. Let's say I'm the customer service rep in a large organization. My job is to ensure that all the demand or sales orders that are received through various sales channels is fulfilled accurately and in a timely manner. My power users have already set up and configured these storyboards specifically for me. Of course, they have adapted the exceptions first approach here and set this up so I can focus on the high priority tasks first and get them out of my way. That way, I don't have to deal with so many exceptions on a daily basis. Let's take a look at closer look at some of these. Now, I see that there are cancellations which are coming in the week. There are start dates. There are orders which are transactions which are on credit hold. There are some certificate expiration issues, probably in some of master data, in the material master. There are cancel dates which are approaching. We have MSRP or pricing mismatch. We have some of the label mismatch issues. Here we are going to see the grid at the bottom. And here we have some of these materials which are having certain label. In this case, what we have in the stock is different from what the customer is requested for. And there's perhaps it's at the bottom of it, it's the same material, but and probably there are two ways that this can be done. We can potentially talk to the DC and see if there is a value-added service that can be done to relabel some of this stock and then ship it out to the customers, or potentially even call the customer and see if they will be willing to accept with a slightly different label. I would also like to walk you through and demonstrate a few features of the product that are available and can be made available across any or all of the storyboards or solution sets that we configure for you. We have the ability to edit the grid. So this is an empowerment to you, to your power users, where if there are certain information that you're interested in seeing and you don't see it currently, it was not configured, you could actually then any of these attributes or activities which are coming in from various sources. They could be coming in from your SAP system, from your EDI, from your partners, maybe some other retail systems. And so the whole universe of attributes and activities are listed here. You could choose those which you would like to see in this particular grid. You can sort it. You can put some of the aggregations and groupings in this. Now, typically, when we have been demonstrating this solution to our customer, often the team from the BI, they come to us and say, oh, by the way, can we download this data into an Excel? Of course. With one click, we can actually download the data. The entire spreadsheet, the grid that you saw, is now available in the Excel. If you prefer to, look at this and analyze it, you can do that from here. I mentioned to you earlier in the slide deck that there are certain collaborative features that we have. So let's say in this particular case, there is one particular transaction that I'm interested in, and it is having a significant impact, and I want to, let's say, be able to collaborate with my colleague, maybe in my own department or maybe cross-functional in another department. I could easily go and select that particular transaction, and automatically that particular document, that particular characteristics which are related to that particular transactions get copied in. I could select some of my colleagues whom I want to send this message to. I could say, please look into this and add, my comments into this. Now, when I do that, the message or the note stays along with this transaction, and the recipient is able to see some of those messages on their inbox, which is within the OpsVeda solution. And let's say I was looking at pricing mismatch. I know previously I was looking at the label. In this particular scenario, we see transactions where the order is saying, the order which was received from EDI is having a different price than what our system shows as the retail price, and that could happen, and there's a mismatch here. And let's say that I want to, send this to my partner and maybe an external party or maybe another department in the company. And instead of using the information messaging that I showed you here within OpsVeda, I want to send this out through my email, from my Outlook email. I want to, let's say, deep dive into this particular transaction. What we have available here is, different views that you can get into. One of them we call is the cart detail. And when you click on that, you can see that for that particular material, you could potentially look at, from an inventory perspective, how the data, the product looks like, or from a material perspective, get details behind it, or you can go to the information hub and look at pretty much all the information that relates to that particular transaction. In this particular case, for example, we were looking at the exceptions which were for the pricing mismatch. By the way, there's another exception that exists on this one. I can look at pretty much all the attributes that belong to that particular order. I can look at every aspect of the quantity amount that is there in terms of what is planned, what is actual. What are the activities behind that have either happened or are planned? What are the schedules? And a summary of your exceptions. Now, of course, some of this information in another view could be actually useful for a manager to be able to look at what kind of workload and what kind of volumes of exceptions that one is facing in their team, and accordingly plan on the resourcing or reallocation of the work. In the beginning, when I came in, I looked at all the exceptions. These were the first order of attention for me. And now in this role-specific storyboard, I see that there are shippable sales orders which are 100% filled. I can take comfort that they are all shippable, but I also noticed that there are about 91 ATS situations. Now, these are negative ATS or available to ship. This means that sum total of all demand exceeds the sum total of all supply, and there are high priority customers that are being denied the stock. Now, I can drill down and perhaps work on reallocating stock to these high priority customers. I could then focus on shippable sales orders which are less than 100% filled, and contracts which are less than 100% filled, and so on. Allocations and oversight. Now, let's take a look at what my managers or allocators see in their storyboards. What kind of visibility do they have? As a manager or allocator, I'm looking at a slightly more expanded view. I can get the real-time visibility into the entire company's projected allocation, or look at only that patch of business or those customers that I am interested or responsible to. In this visualization, I'm looking at, what are the orders that are in pick, line items that are located, orders which are on hand, for which the stock is on hand, but they are yet unallocated, orders for which the inventory is in transit, in work in process or late. Now, let's say I just want to focus on maybe not covered, maybe only the late or work in process or maybe in transit. And I could actually do that, and I can drill down into this. I may have to address this, I may have to focus on speaking to my suppliers, maybe my carriers, and take appropriate actions to expedite or perhaps even speak to the customer to negotiate alternative dates, look at alternative fill rates or quantities that we can supply. Now, in this demo, I would like to share with you a few additional product features. If I wish to look at only at my key customers or certain groups by default when I come to this storyboard, as I mentioned before, I can only filter it to that. If I want to zoom into certain brands, let's say I'm interested only at looking at Calvin Klein and see how the situation looked like, I can zoom into that. If I wish to preview an alternative allocation approach, say if instead of 100% fill rate, I'm interested in looking at how would it be if we target maybe 90% fill rate for all our high priority customers and say 60% fill rate for low or medium priority customers. The system can help you run simulation based on those other allocation criteria. If there are any SAP AFS customers in the audience, please note that you can run this allocation preview in less than 60 seconds. Unlike several hours or say 4 to 6 hours that it may take currently for you, this is a pretty powerful and such complex processing that is only possible due to our patented process agnostic data store technique and in-memory database. If you wish to, let's say, look at a different reporting window, instead of the current month, you're interested in looking at next month, maybe next week, it could be, next quarter, next year. We could define some of these reporting windows for you, and the entire storyboard refreshes for that particular period. Let's take a look at what your executives are interested in, especially if they're responsible for managing revenue and margins, and what kind of insight-driven storyboards they are getting. And when I look at this monthly revenue potential, typically, we are in the beginning of the month, so I see a very small amount of inventory or the orders which are in pick. There are deliveries that are being made by direct shipment from your vendors, your customers potentially, and so that is one of the potential revenue opportunity. We have confirmed orders on hand at this level, so this is certainly a potential. And there are bulk that we have in hand. Now, as I go further down into this category, I see that there are certain risky transactions that I may not be able to fulfill. There is confirmed late opportunity here. There's a bulk which is late. There is certain information, there's certain inventory which is currently in production and has not made it, and so on. And certainly, so as I go down the line here, I see that the risk of fulfilling the requirement or meeting my numbers here is increasing. So what I could actually do is actually deep dive into these transactions, make a call to the DC, maybe call to the customer and see if there is a way that I can still. Now, obviously, I'm able to look at what is my budget and what is my forecast. And if I'm interested in deep dive and looking into, what are the confirmed on hand, here I do see this opportunity that we have about 43 million or 12 million worth inventory, which is or orders which are confirmed on hand. But the question is, why is it that they have not shipped? So when I deep dive into it, that I see that there are certain transactions which are still having credit issues and are on hold. Maybe we have some of the oversold situations that, the inventory is there, but it is being allocated. It has been assigned to another customer, and our high priority customer is being denied that stock. So maybe I need to reallocate some of that inventory, and maybe the orders are incomplete and so on. Okay, so I could actually drill down into this and start chasing some of these transactions. Now, if I'm interested in getting another perspective of revenue by, let's say, a sales organization, look at maybe top 10 customers and how does the revenue potential look like here by DC and, what is in transit, I could actually do that by drilling down into each of these. Obviously, I'm not going to click on all of these. Let's take a look at my top 10 customers and what are the risky transactions. And let's take a look at either Macy's or Nordstrom. Here, we are able to look at these transactions and take certain actions based on what are the status.
So if I may just jump in here, Vikas, I think what is most interesting here is to know that The all information that you see on the OpsVeda storyboard is live. So this is not as of yesterday's data where we are trying to analyze in BI what happened, what might be at risk, and what might not be at risk. This is live information with guaranteed SLAs where the latency between your SAP and other connected systems versus OpsVeda is less than 60 seconds. 60 seconds being the maxima, not the average. So if this is live information, we don't really focus necessarily on, which are my top 10 customers. The focus here is what are my risky transactions against some of my top customers so that I as an executive or I as a business manager could initiate certain activity to begin to fix that or begin to collaborate with the various people who can change the outcomes. So all information is live. If the information is any more than 5 minutes old, it's only meant for managers and analysts. But when the information is live, it becomes a storyboard that the business users who make hundreds of decisions every single day, they can use it to change business outcomes. When intelligence lets you change business outcomes, that is when you are able to create value for your business, reduce the leakage of revenue and margins that you see every single day. That I'll stop there. But
same solution that can actually look at the demand and the supply and inventory can also help you manage your cash-to-cash cycle. So what you see here are the trending metrics and KPIs. Here, for example, we're looking at the cash-to-cash cycle. We want to look at how Armstrong is doing. So I can click on that, and it shows me that across the different brands that I sell to Armstrong, this is how the cash-to-cash cycle looks like. If I want to focus on one particular Calvin Klein as particular area and see what are the details behind that, I can do that. In this particular case for Calvin Klein, these are, the bulk sales orders that come in, and then which takes about 59 days. And then there are confirmed sales orders that stay open and are placed for about 81 days. And then there is, from the time a delivery is created and goods receipt is done, there are about 4 days it takes, and then and so on. So delivery to goods issue, right? So this gives you the whole cycle from a cash-to-cash cycle point of view, whereas for the entire average from the Armstrong point of view, and you can deep dive and look into the details here. The solution does provide, the POM structures, and then POM has multiple sales orders. Multiple sales orders have multiple, process orders or the fulfillment elements and the supply elements. There are certain reservations behind it. Now, what this tree is showing you is the whole link between your demand, supply, inventory, and the reservations that are there, and is actually pointing out, as Sanjeev mentioned, specific areas where there is an need for attention, especially, for example, these red items where there is an issue and something needs to be done. Let me also, supply plays an important role in performing an on-time delivery. If the inbound is not on time, it can impact, the outbound and meeting the customer's requirement. Recently, when I was in one of our customer sites looking at their order fulfillment, the supply team has certain, measures against which their performance is measured. That not only includes the inventory turns, but the service levels and how much fulfillment or the global attainment rate that they are able to achieve. Now, in the supply management window, if I'm a manager, I'm able to get a view of how my procurement is tracking, different various KPIs. If I am interested in looking at, from a collaboration point of view as to how my factory, my suppliers are performing, get some insight into the different stages of manufacturing or production or work in process that they are in. For example, here we have the PO line items with work in process delays, and I want to look at a little bit more detail. I can click into it and I can see what are delays, what kind of delays, and what is at risk of being delivered on time. So there are also a few more areas, such as focusing on the inbound delays. You could, if you are in the logistics side, on the inbound side, get one view of how the delays are impacting your inbound deliveries. You can look at it by destination. You can drill down into these areas and look at what those destinations are getting impacted. You can look at it by the mode of transport, and potentially there are certain events that are happening. So, this is helping you track and improve the performance, get some visibility, and potentially able to predict what are the actions that you can take. You are getting a visibility into your handling disruptions. Maybe you want to change the route because of the, strike maybe happening in one of the, ports. There was a time when in Long Beach there was a strike and ports were all congested. So you could actually in real time look at how some of the container prioritization can be done. So one of our customers came to us and they basically said that, is there something that you can do? You have access to all our demand. You have access to all our supply. You know what is our inventory. You know what are the prioritization here from our customer. Is it something that you can do to help salvage some of this issue here? And we put together this container prioritization storyboard for them, and which are those containers that are being impacted. I can do that by looking at, in the grid here, what are the different containers, what is contained in that, what is the impacted volume of sales, and accordingly give a decision on the fly to the port to deliver only the high priority containers if that is their constraint. So what are the key takeaways here? OpsVeda is allowing operational users to focus on the decisions they have to make. It is helping automate some of this acquisition and analysis of data. It is being presented in a simplified storyboard form across the supply chain, across each of the business processes and exceptions. It is giving you the alerts. It is giving you the ability to collaborate, look at some of the KPI trends, and make some of the strategic or tactical decisions on a day-to-day basis. Every click that you make, is leading you to some actionable intelligence. So you don't have to spend time trying to collate all that information from various sources or, identify what are those critical actions that you need to work on. Now, you also saw that the solution is delivered in a role-specific real-time storyboards. We looked at some of these from a sales point of view, from the sales operations or logistics point of view, a little bit on the sourcing side. I couldn't spend some time on the manufacturing and maintenance, but we have some pretty elaborate content, which is, in the system. Of course, maybe we can demonstrate that in another session. As I was mentioning in the beginning, we have proven customers. We have customers such as Grace Kennedy in food and beverage, life science customers like Genentech, apparel and footwear customer like Global Brands, and they have utilized our solution in various process areas that they started with, and we are looking at expanding and scaling some of those areas as the adoption has increased. Now, as I mentioned before, we are also recognized by Gartner. We are categorized in the supply chain and operational visibility, operational intelligence area. Now, if you are, if you are excited about this, I would like you to consider putting together, a business case. Maybe there are challenges, some of which I demonstrated. You may have the same situation. It could be that you have too much inventory or obsolescence. We often hear companies, on a periodic basis taking a, charge, get a hit on their balance sheet. On the inventory obsolescence side, we couldn't spend much time on that, but we have ability to look at not only what inventory is there and is aging, and to begin with, why in the first place did it occur? Was it a poor forecast? Was it some orders that got canceled and so on? We did look at some of the areas where there could be expedites needed, and if you have too many expedites, how you can proactively avoid doing some of those expedites or incurring some of the penalties. If you are an executive, how instead of looking at the lagging indicators which you typically get out of the BI reporting or the traditional reporting, you could actually look at some of the leading indicators and manage or change the direction or the course of the organization towards growth. Ultimately, what I would like to say is that, this is a platform that can help you scale. This is a platform that can be your platform for operational innovation. Whatever your business drivers may be, we will be happy to talk to you and help you, put together a business case. Would like to anchor the scope and develop some of the quick wins. And some of these initial implementations, onboarding, can be achieved in 4 to 6 weeks. In this year itself, we have had 3 such instances where the solution has been ready and went live. We started with Juniper Networks in the beginning of the year, where we went live in 6 weeks. Very similar to that, Grace Kennedy, food and beverage customer, we went live in 6 weeks, and we had some of the rollout sessions. We are looking at expanding that into their other regions. This is something we have perfected, the art of delivering in 6 weeks, and I'm sure we can do this for you as well. Obviously, with the first deployment, the journey starts, and the platform scales to help you innovate and improve. With that, I would like to move into the Q&A session.
Yes. Thank you, Vikas. We're now moving into the Q&A portion of our webinar. If you have any questions, now is the time to submit them using the purple Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And we do have a couple of audience questions. The first question is, please highlight any self-service capabilities in the solution. What is Canvas?
So I will take that. Canvas is something that we have recently announced. Most of what Vikas showed you is pre-configured, ready-made intelligence so that business users can stop searching for intelligence and they can start executing the moment they come to work. While we have 20, 30, 40 different such storyboards which are very specific to roles, which are industry-specific, still there was some demand from business users saying, hey, can we create certain things on our own? So OpsVeda had recently released Canvas, where imagine live information available to you, all well connected through our process-agnostic data store, and business users being able to create their own dashboards, their own storyboards, their own views of the data, their own filters, their own visualization, and so on. So yes, there is a lot of self-service capabilities in the system, and Canvas is one of our new modules which allows business users to do all kinds of visualization themselves on live information, just like what they would do with tools like Tableau and ClickView. The only fundamental difference, information in OpsVeda is live, and that changes everything.
Thank you for that. Next question is, how much time does it really take to implement?
So, as Vikas said, I've been in the SAP ecosystem for a long time as well, and I'm sure folks in the audience, they've all seen deployments which take minimum 6 months to maybe 3 years. OpsVeda commits that these deployments can be completed in less than 6 weeks. First 3 weeks, technical implementation, week 4, 5, and 6 to refine and focus the storyboards that come out of the box. So 6 weeks is something that we can stand by for large enterprise customers, and we have proven it time and time again.
That's great. 6 weeks, that's fast. The next question is, how much history do you store?
Well, that's an interesting question. The solution is powered by SAP HANA, so the amount of history we store does impact the amount of SAP HANA that we bring in. By the way, customers don't need SAP HANA in order to run OpsVeda. OpsVeda bundles SAP HANA as part of our service. Typically, you need a minimum of a year, year and a half of history so that you are able to capture trending and historical analysis, same time last year and so on and so forth. but there's no limit to the amount of history that we can store. We can go 2 years, 3 years. That impacts the amount of HANA. It is definitely a small fee per month kind of a business model. Our recommendation is minimum 15 months. Okay, Susan, any other question? Or
yeah, we do have one more. We do have one more. It says, what kinds of external data can be brought into OpsVeda?
All kinds of external data. Everything from the ERP systems. So OpsVeda has extractors for all things orders, inbound shipments, outbound shipments, billing, procurement, manufacturing, inspection lots, quality, warehouse information. Some of that comes from SAP, some of that can come from externally connected warehouse systems, planning systems, EDI data on all in-transit, inbound or outbound transit information. We can also take sensor data. We have done a lot of good work in the plant maintenance space. We can also take machine data and sensor data. So all kinds of external data can be brought into OpsVeda.
Thank you, Vikas and Sanjay, for a great webcast. On behalf of ASUG, I'd like to thank OpsVeda, as well as all of you who took the time out of today to attend this webcast. Once again, the recording and the slides from today's program will be posted to the ASUG website, and all registrants will receive an email with the link to those materials. With that, I would like to close today's webcast. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.